Yeah, one of the
Well, we had a quick technical difficulty. David, I don't know what in the world happened, but I'm guessing people at the University of Oklahoma State did not like what we had to say about Mike Gundy.
apparently not, and it was one of those things where he was like, "No podcast for you today, guys. You just talk about my hair and my football program. We're not going to talk about it at all." So they must have just sent a little bug into the technology world to take care of it. But we're back on, and one thing before we jump off of the transition next topic is Steve Sarkisian in Texas. See
Hmm.
what he can do with Tom Herman. Tom Herman was given 4 years. Apparently, wasn't good enough. Beat Oklahoma, I think it was twice in those 4 years. Um, I know at least once. That was ended up being Mike Stoops' last game as
Yeah.
OU's defensive coordinator. Um, but apparently, it wasn't good enough to be considered, so they fired him. Brought in former USC and Washington head coach Steve Sarkisian. Sam Ellinger is gone. The first time since 2017 that they're going to have someone other than Sam under center. And then also, um, Kansas did not make it to the Big 12 Media Days.
Yeah.
Inclement weather in, I guess it was in Kansas, prevented their plane from taking off. And the topic of conversation would have been the scandal led to Les Miles'
Hmm.
dismissal, and there would have been people missed out on the opportunity to get to know Lance Leopold. Um, and we'll get to see, if not this year, um, that Kansas is going to be able to be more than just a stepping stone for people who are for fans. One of the things is in years past, um, Kansas has been one of those games where you see it on the schedule, like, okay, we just put a W next to that. And okay, we don't need to worry about that week. We still need to play like we're still college football because they're still a Division I team. But we can just do what we need to do, and we can have an off game and still win. But Lance Leopold is one of the best coaches that most casual fans outside of the MAC Mid America Conference, I think is what it is, um, have never heard of. And I'm looking forward to see what he can do because I want a competitive conference. Because if someone can say, hey, you guys don't even really have pushover teams that you guys can just step on along the way, you have to play competitively week in and week out. It can really say that the Big 12 is one of the best conferences in all of college football.
Oh, absolutely, and because TCU is a great program, especially with Gary Patterson. He's been there forever, and but no, I hope that he does well with Kansas. I'm not again, is this a permanent fix? Is this it's Kansas? Let's just put it that way. So I don't know what we have with him, but no, nonetheless, hopefully he can get things moving in the right direction, and hopefully they can put the scandal stuff behind him that was dealt with head or former head coach now I should say Les Miles. And it's unfortunate because I was pretty excited to see Les come back in the Big 12. Of course, it's Kansas, and a lot of people thought, well, can he even do anything? You never know. Right now it wasn't, no, but nonetheless, no, I agree with you. I'm looking forward to that. I think the Big 12 can really be something special. Of course, Kansas is always the laughter, but I still think eventually they'll get there, whether it is with Lance or not. I think eventually they'll get there. There's just unfortunate they've had so much change in head coach that hopefully they can just settle someone, build hopefully something good and work with them. But when you have that much turnover, it's just tough to build a consistent program.
Yep, most definitely. Because I want to see, like I said, a competitive conference where each team plays, hard in and hard out, and each team can win any game on any given Saturday.
Yep. And to finish off the Big 12 segment, I don't know, David, if you saw this or not. I was going up to Tulsa for a quick business thing, and today, and nonetheless, I got a notification from Bleacher Report, and it says practically the Big 12 is going to penalize taunting. Of course, I'm obviously the direction is towards Oklahoma and Texas. Nonetheless, it makes no sense, David. I don't know if you got a chance to read this or not, but or check into it. But pretty much, long story short, is this: say, for example, Spencer Rattler scores in the end zone. He does the horns down to the most obnoxious fan base that's on that. I think it's probably the south end of the end zone, whoever south end of it is, because they're close to the end zone. Whoever fan base, he's not penalized. If he does it to one of their safeties, corner, defensive linemen, so on and so forth, he gets penalized. A lot of I'm not right now. I'm not in favor for this NIL thing. I think it might hurt the sport, but let these kids celebrate. I mean, taunting. Now, if you're doing throat slashes, or if you're like Baker Mayfield a few years back, and you're grabbing your crotch and saying whatever you want to say, okay, I get that. But horns down and whatever. I know it's not much of a topic to talk about, but what's your thoughts on this? I call it ridiculous and stupid rule that the Big 12 adapted for this upcoming season.
Well, I actually like the rule. I was looking into it, and the rule says this: it's not if you direct it towards the fans, that's one thing.
Right.
But if you direct it towards a player, that can start a fight, and we don't want to fight on the field. If you don't know, if you out there listening to the podcast, don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to fights, go look up 2013 Ohio State, Michigan. You want to see a barroom brawl. That was a barroom brawl. We had helmets flying. We had players coming off the sidelines. We had punches and kicks. And then I think it was 2007, maybe 2008, Miami, Florida, and then Florida International, which was one of the uglier brawls because you actually had a player swing his helmet, kind of like what Myles Garrett did to Mason Rudolph a couple of years ago in the NFL. So I'm all for stopping a fight from happening because you can get ugly, you get suspensions, you got a big game next week, and then your top players out because he decided to, throw a couple of haymakers here and there to the opponent. So if it stops a fight from happening, there needs to be penalized. That's one thing. But I think the horns down is one of the kind of just adds another wrinkle to the rivalry that is Oklahoma and Texas, because Texas fans don't like it. Oklahoma says, well, why don't you come out here and beat us openly, and play some football, and maybe we'll stop doing it. But I got to agree with the commissioner on this one. If it's to a player, then it's going to be penalized because it's going to stop a fight. But to the fans, hey, it's fair game to the fans, because I think it was a couple of years, I think last year, there were a couple of ladies at the Cotton Bowl who gave the freeway salute to the Sooner players that was caught on camera. And I was like, no, that's not how you're supposed to act. But then again, that's Texas fans for you.
See, I would have thought it'd been the other way around, because I'm thinking, especially, I'm guessing it's the South, and I really don't know what side of the end zone this is, but North or South doesn't really matter. I figured that I could see more fans storming the field, but nonetheless, I know I'm scrolling through Twitter. It's interesting what a lot of people say, but it is what it is, and hey, I still think we're gonna, especially if it's a close game in Dallas, I still think that we're going to have a few people, having a few people get on, a few people taunt. Let me put it that way. I still think we'll get by. I still think we'll see some of that, and it might be a decision. It might be one of those crucial flags that can make or break a game.
It can, and that's the thing about it. And I don't know, I think it was last year or 2 years ago where all the players got the unsportsmanlike conduct before the game started.
Yep.
Because they got into a pregame shoving match, and then Big 12 referee, now head of officiating, what's that guy's name to do with the big arms? I can't remember his name.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the biggest, one of the well-known referees because of he's a weightlifter in the offseason. He came out there and said, we're not, all the players of both teams have been hit with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty before the game started. And if they got none during the game, that would have been it. And then there was a rumor swirling after the game that Texas did that on purpose because they knew if Oklahoma got another penalty during the game, that player would be gone. But that didn't happen. So we'll have to see if, like you said, if it's a crucial flag that helps decide the game, what's going to happen. But it's one of those things where we're just going to wait until the big game at the Texas State Fair to see what's going to happen.
Absolutely, and we'll see how that goes. If you're just joining, if this is your first time listening, of course, big Sooner fans here. Speaking of which, I don't know, David, if you saw this, I'm just now scrolling through it and I missed it, which I haven't been on social media today at all. The Oklahoma men's new basketball era, of course, Coach Mosier starting the new era in Norman, but they released a non-conference schedule. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's pretty impressive for this year.
Now, I have not seen it, so I'll have to take a look at it after we get the recording this, and we'll have to hit it on next week's edition. But that's one of the things. If I see what the Sooners are trying to do is trying to put the basketball program on the map and say, hey, we want to compete with the likes of Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, and be up there with them because I think Porter Moser has a great chance to take this program up to the next level. Lon Kruger did a fantastic job of taking this program to great heights, took us to the Final Four with Buddy Hield, and first time in I think almost 15, 16 years that had happened. And I think Porter Moser has a chance to make us competitive in the Big 12 and take the crown away from Kansas.
Well, hopefully, I know it's going to be a while, so Sooner Nation be definitely definitely ready for you. So, nonetheless, looking forward to it. Of course, recapping with the weekend or early week that it was, Major League Baseball game, All-Star game that was played in Denver. Of course, Coors Field, home of the Colorado Rockies. I watched the first round of the Home Run Derby. It was entertaining. The rest became, but nonetheless, Otani, he was ousted in the first round. A lot of people, I'm sure, lost a lot of money because a lot of people. He was obviously the favorite to win, needless to say, and probably rightfully so. He came in the All-Star break, the hottest hitter, if not one of them, besides Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And nonetheless, I didn't watch the All-Star game. I can't speak too much. I did read, watch the highlights, I should say. Of course, the National League. They were shut out until I think they got their first hit in the third inning. Nonetheless, fallen. I think what now? What is it now? 8 years now they haven't lost. They've lost to the AL. But nonetheless, I've heard it was a wonderful weekend. I know a buddy of mine, him and his mom went up there to enjoy the Futures game and then the All-Star or the Home Run Derby, then the All-Star game. Were you able to watch much of this? I know Vladimir Guerrero, of course, played lights out in the All-Star game, which take a lead with. I know a lot of people don't really get into it, but nonetheless, of course, even J.T. Remuto, Carl Albert product here in the local Midwest City area. He had a pretty decent game for the Phillies as well in the All-Star game, but nonetheless, I enjoyed it. Always good festivities. It's just good to watch good All-Star. It's just good baseball.
Yes, and one of the more lighthearted moments in the game occurred when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit his home run because Fernando Tatis Jr. Was mic'd up at first base when he hit it, so it was kind of comical to see his reaction to the home run. Going back to 2013, the American League has won every game since then. The National League won the previous three in 2010, 2011, and 2012. Before that, the American League had won every game since 1997, with the exception of 2002, which was the glaring black eye that was the tie. And then because they ran out of players, and then of course last year they didn't have it because due to the delay of the start of the season. and they didn't want to say, well, we're going to play an all-star game, 1 month into the abbreviated season. But one of the things that I don't like about the all-star game is that everybody plays. I mean, I understand why they want to do it, but if you ain't figured it out yet, I don't like participation trophies. I think they're pathetic. Just because you make it, it doesn't mean you automatically get an award. If you make it to the team, be thankful you're in the dugout. And if a guy wants to pitch 4 innings, 5 innings, let him go 5 innings. Don't pull him out for 2 innings. That's what happened in 2002, because you want to let everybody play. And the next thing you know, oh crap, we're in the 11th inning. It's tied 7-7. We don't have any players left because you want to play everybody. And what I think they ought to do is MLB needs to maybe throw some cash out there. Just throw a purse out there that $1 million, and the MVP gets half of it, and then the winning side splits the other half. So make it competitive.
Well, they got to do something because, I totally agree with you. I get they want, they're doing it public for the fans and so on and so forth. But I mean, let's just be honest. If Ohtani wants to pitch 8 innings, let him pitch 8 innings. If he wants to hit instead of pitch, let him hit instead of pitches. If Max Scherzer, the ace for the Nationals, if he wants to do the same, then go for it. Pitching wise, but no, I agree with you. I've always thought the All-Star game is cool. I just, it's good baseball. Home Run Derby, I think, was a lot of hype that unfortunately didn't go the way I think a lot of people was hoping. But with Pete Alonso, of course, winning it for the Mets again. But nonetheless, it was a good environment. Of course, now we're at I think we're past the halfway mark standing-wise, but I always call it the halfway mark. We're now getting into the trade deadlines here in the next month and a half, and down the stretch as we head into October. Of course, the Yankees need some pitching. They're still in the race, but they're going to have to win some series.
They are, and unfortunately, I don't know if it's taught today, but they've got some COVID issues. So their game tonight against the Red Sox has gotten postponed, and the rest of the weekend is in jeopardy because they've got a tested positive one, which is Aaron Judge. And now it's a question of, okay, he was in Colorado, he was playing. Did he have it when he was in Colorado? Because now you got to go the contact tracing route. And heaven forbid if the players who were in Colorado were exposed to him, and then they went home to their respective teams, because Major League Baseball, after the fan votes revealed the managers for the respective teams, which are the defending pennant champion managers, if they're still around. I can't remember what the rule is. Let's say a team goes to the World Series 1 year and a coach either gets fired or resigns and they replace him. I don't know how that rule works, but they go out and select a player from each team, so everyone is represented. So now you potentially have every team exposed because of Aaron Judge. And if that's that, then you got a can of worms, and it's going to get the worst case scenario is the season gets paused because every team's got cancer because every team's was connected to Aaron Judge. But they've got to fix something because the fan base isn't tolerating it. And I know I'm a member of a Yankees group on Twitter. A bunch of them live in New York and they've gone to games. They said they're not going to go to any more games as long as Aaron Boone is manager. So the fans are starting to make their presence known that they don't want Aaron Boone. They think he's a lousy manager. I think he's a lousy manager. He just doesn't have that fire that he needs to have.
I didn't think that was a great hire to begin with. I'm not knocking. I get, he's the guy that sent us to the World Series. Okay, so you're going to go off of practically one hit.
Exactly.
And okay, cool.
That was a bit of a fluke hit anyway. I mean, I was watching that game, and I said, I told my friend at school, I said that was a fluke hit. That was not. That was just, Grady, then manager Grady Little, making a boneheaded decision to leave Pedro Martinez in there when he should have pulled him out. But just because, he's this great hero. No, he's not. You don't get to become a legendary hero for one hit because they go out there and lose the series in 7 games to the Florida Marlins. And then the Florida Marlins did what they did in 97, 98. Have a fire sale at the winning World Series. Like, get this thing away from me. We don't like winning World Series. That's basically what happened. It became irrelevant again.
But speaking of series, I watched the NBA Finals Game 4 last night. We're down now, David, to the best of 3. And
it starts all over again.
Yep, we're right back to practically 0-0. Suns chant, Phoenix, the fans were chanting Suns in 4. Buck fans in Milwaukee chanting Bucks in 6. It's an interesting series, nonetheless, especially with the fan bases. Both arenas loud as loud can be for their respective areas. Now we're going to do this. We can now easily say it's going to be Bucks in 6. We can say it could be Suns in 6, or we're going to have a Game 7 winner. It's just that kind of series. I like what paraphrase what Phoenix head coach Monty Williams said, and he said this is the way practically that the point of player should be, and this is the excitement of it. Now, a lot of bad officiating last night. I definitely will say that on both sides. Yep. It wasn't one team or another. It was both all the way around. So hopefully the league can get that taken care of. But now, kind of like Cam Johnson, I believe, with the Suns said, it's the finals. Here we go. This is you're not just now going to give up now. It's now we're going to go down to the potential final 3 or 2 games, or even now 3, depends on how this plays out. Well, David, we're at 2-2. Suns up 2-0. Bucks took the last 2. Now we're going back to Phoenix for Game 5. Your thoughts so far? I've enjoyed the series. It's been court advantage has played a huge part. Last night, Chris Paul really was sloppy with the ball. Devin Booker couldn't get out of foul trouble. Well, no offense. First of all, the whole team, both sides. I don't think anybody. I didn't think we're gonna make the. I didn't think we're gonna finish the game with anybody eligible with the fouls. But nonetheless, congrats to Milwaukee. Game 4 win. We're going back to Game 5. I think Sunday and or it might be Saturday. That's probably too far in advance. But anyway, nonetheless, we're going to Game 5 in Phoenix. Here we go, David. We're down to the final stretch. What's it looking like for you? Have you enjoyed the series so far, and what do you see how this thing's going to play out?
Well, I've enjoyed the series. I was looking for a competitive series, and I got a competitive series. I thought it was going to be okay. Milwaukee might steal 1 or 2 games in when they go to Game 3 in front of the first 2 games because the Phoenix made Giannis look off his game. But then he got home to the Fiserv Forum there in Milwaukee, and got honed in, locked down, and led him and Chris Middleton tag teams to win. And they took advantage of some sloppy play from Phoenix. Chris Paul just could not get over the turnover bug. He literally passed the ball, and it was like, okay, it's a bad pass. I'm going to steal. This is going to steal, and they go the other way. Giannis and Middleton combined for 66 points. When you have that kind of performance, you're going to be expected to win. But I'm with you on the officiating. It needs to be cleaned up because if you're going to have this competitive series, the last thing you want is a controversial call. Should have been called, shouldn't have been called, that decides the championship. And Devin Booker should have fouled out last night with about a minute left in the game, but didn't because the foul got missed. And I've been officiating. I've done officiating on the sides. I've known some officials. You're not going to call everything. You can't call everything.
No, exactly.
But when it comes to big plays, you need to call those. And sometimes it's just, you see something and your brain just freezes. Like, what just happened? I just missed that call. And but I've enjoyed the series, and I think it's going to go to Game 7. It's going to be winner take all on next week. I think it's next Tuesday. Or when next Wednesday, I can't look what the schedule is, but Game 7, if necessary, is going to be played in Phoenix, and it's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a loud, boisterous crowd there in Phoenix. They're going to pack the arena there, and they're going to make their presence known. But Game 5 is Saturday, and it is momentum is there for the taking. It's right there in the middle. Both teams are going for it. Whoever wins on Saturday night has momentum, and the Blair Ryan Trophy will be in Milwaukee next week for Game 6, because whoever wins Game 5, they win Game 6, the series is over. But I think the home team's going to win every game. Phoenix is going to win Game 5 Saturday. Milwaukee's going to take Game 6, and then I think it's going to go 7 games. And Phoenix is going to take Game 7 next week, and it's going to be a barn burner of a basketball game.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Obviously, Booker, phenomenal player. Of course, last night got a lot of foul trouble, which was why he was not in the fourth quarter a lot until I think it was like 9th minute, 8th minute left in the game. Might have been 5 minutes for all I know. Can remember, but of course, 38, I should say, it was 42 points within the first 3 quarters, again due to foul trouble in the fourth. But an interesting stat that I'm looking at here is Giannis. He's had back-to-back 40-point, 10-rebound game, which is just one of 3 players in NBA history to reach those numbers in consecutive final games, which is pretty impressive because Giannis, you don't think of being that. I mean, he's obviously a huge player to Milwaukee's success, but you obviously don't think those numbers, but that's something in itself. I still think Middleton and Giannis is still the deal maker that could get Milwaukee the championship. Hall's got to pick up his play a little bit better. He was definitely sloppy last night. Booker, nonetheless, regardless if it was an officiating issue or not, he's got to get out of foul trouble. And I think if Booker can do that, Phoenix can take care of biz. But I like Phoenix in 5. I like Milwaukee in 6. I can definitely see this go with 7. Of course, the NBA wants it in 7. I can guarantee that ABC wants to go in 7. That's viewers and money for them. So, but anyway, no, I've enjoyed this series. It's been really entertaining, and I hope it finish out the way that it's started so far. But nonetheless, Milwaukee took over, like you said. They took advantage of the turnovers, especially the sloppy play from CP3 and Booker's foul trouble. And hey, the name of the game, you got to take over, and that's what Milwaukee did.
Yep. And a little side note here. I don't know if you saw this on the news earlier, but it's official that the arena downtown is no longer Chesapeake Energy Arena. The sign on the outside got taken down. It's now just known as the arena until they find a new naming rights partner.
Wow. Did not know that.
Yep. They was flipping through the news while we were getting the technical difficulties worked out, and there was had a picture of the letters were just piled on a pallet in the middle of East Reno, and there's no name right now. It's just known as the Sports Arena right now until they get a new naming rights partner.
Wow.
Yeah, to me, it's always going to be the Ford Center. That's what they grew up. That's what was.
Well, I would say I remember when
growing up.
Exactly, I remember that thing when that thing was being built, and that was the Ford Center, because that's when the original Blazers were there, and that crowd and fan base was the most hypest. Oh my god!
Yeah, you talk about some loud arena. That thing was literally vibrating if you drove by it on a game night.
Oh,
that thing was rocking. I've been to a few concerts in there, and I've gotten out there, and my ears were ringing. So it was, it's not called Loud City for nothing.
Well, no, and it started. I could definitely remember the Ford Center. I've heard rumors before. I didn't know when they were going to take the signage down, but I knew Paycom was potentially potential rumor. I've kept hearing Paycom. I don't know what if that's true or not, but no, it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, it's be something cool. Of course, unfortunate news for Chesapeake Energy, obviously, but hopefully we can. I always like to call it the peak, but nonetheless, it's gonna be interesting. So, new era, of course, in basketball world for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, we still continue with the NBA Finals. Game 5 on Saturday. Now, Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. The next chapter in this little off-season story is as the page has been turned, we're still in the middle of the plot, and it, as they say, the plot thickens.
Well, I don't even know where to begin with this guy. A good buddy of
Okay.
mine, Claude. He's been on the show a few times. If you guys haven't, definitely search the shows. He knows his stuff. Nonetheless, he's a huge, go after Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is the hero, so on and so forth. I got nothing. He's obviously the league MVP, but we got, I don't know where to go with this guy. So we look we look at Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, he didn't opt out this season, so obviously, you would say it's nearly 100% that he'll probably a chance at least that he'll play under center in Green Bay this upcoming season. Well, obviously, you and I both know that 100% is nothing guaranteed. So let's look at the bottom line. What's the bottom line? Well, is he still a Packer? Obviously, him and his 37-year-old self. I guess he still wants to be the host of Jeopardy. I don't really know. But again, David, your thoughts on this whole saga? This thing is, I don't even know. Is this when is this drama at this rate? Because we're 12 days away from Packers opening camp, and there's no point to know where Aaron Rodgers, whether he's going to be the starter or if he's even going to show up. You know,
Right.
you know, Tom Brady and I guess Tom Brady was at a golf course or there's a rephrases during a golf match against Tom Brady, and Phil Mickelson. From what I read, um, practically rumors have it. Rogers says, whether he told Brady to himself and Brady felt the need that he wants to be the new source. I don't know, but pretty much says that he wants to figure things out at least in the next 2 weeks. Dude, I don't know what there is to figure out. It's either you're going to play or you're not going to play. I personally don't think he's going to be traded. I don't think he start. I think he starts because he's going to realize that Green Bay's not going to play around with this, and they're just going to move on to, I would imagine, Jordan Love. But what's your thoughts on
Yeah.
this saga?
Well, as you know, right now, as of last week, there was a glacial freeze between the two sides. But now it appears that thing is thawing out. In fact, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler appeared Monday on the show Get Up, said the Packers are hopeful, quote unquote, that the reigning MVP reports to the team, and they have no plans to even trade him. So their fingers crossed that he's going to show up to training camp in the next couple weeks. But it's one of those things. He requested a trade earlier this offseason. It's been sitting for more than a year. They did the decision to use the first round back pick on Jordan Love. But as you said, as of right now, he's still a Packer. His contract still says Green Bay Packers. And until they do something about that contract, he still plays for the Green Bay Packers. Now, we're going to have to see whether he's going to show up. And there's going to be a litany of TV cameras and other press that are going to be at birthday one waiting at the entrance to see if Aaron Rodgers shows up. He not report to OTAs, organized team activities this past offseason. Got fined for that. But we'll see what happens with that. And we'll just have to see what goes on with that. Whether he shows up or not will determine what the Packers are going to do with him. Again, because of the size of his contract and his age, there aren't too many suitors for him. Other than maybe, Denver Broncos have been rumored to be, but then I'm with you. I want to see what Drew Lock can do. Now he's got a little NFL experience under his belt, and maybe see what he can do before we go. I don't want to just go in, oh, hey, let's go with Peyton, do what did Peyton Manning. Let's get this big time quarterback in his twilight years, win a couple of games right off and, get a Super Bowl right off into the sunset, and then be where we are right after Peyton Manning, mediocre at best because we wasted money on a player that we only got 2 good years out of.
Well, and Clyde and I, even on the show, we're gonna have to just obviously agree to disagree when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. obviously draft night. I tweeted out, and I swear people got up in an uproar. Oh, you're a moron. You wouldn't take. Okay, first of all, I'm not sitting here saying I wouldn't. Would love to. I would absolutely love to see Aaron Rodgers in Denver. However, going back to that, Denver's one of the youngest teams in the league, which is a plus. It could also be a bad thing, yes, but it's a huge plus. However, I'm not giving up what we're already building in Denver. You're one of the youngest teams. I think they're the second or third youngest. You're one of the youngest, top five youngest teams in the league. You got a quarterback that he's shown some flashes. Yes, I agree. He's shown some hiccups. I also agree. Um, however, Denver needs to get in the position to say, okay, we can't be like Cleveland Browns here. We can't start having a jersey listing and duct tape of who our quarterback was and wasn't. Um, because that's where they're going after the Peyton Manning era. You've gone through Trevor Seaman, you've gone through Paxton Lynch, you've gone through Joe Flacco, you've gone through Brendan Allen, you've gone through Case Keenum, Kendall Hinton, for God's sakes. I mean, I get that was a COVID thing, but still, you still have the Brett Reitman, which I like, but he's not an NFL caliber kid. But nonetheless, I'm not giving up 3 first-round picks. I'm not even really give up two. You might get one at very best. Um, I just wouldn't give up much for a guy because here's what I think, and I mentioned it to Clyde, is this. So if we go this route to Aaron Rodgers, my thing is this. Okay, so in 3 years from now, when his contract expires or when he breaks his hip on the 40-yard line and you're 40 years old, so what? We're now going to go after Russell Wilson when he's mid 30s. It's just one of those trend things that let's just go pick up the old quarterbacks. But hey, that's a temporary fix. But Cleveland, hey, they've stuck with Baker, and we're both OU fans. And let's be honest, it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been good for Baker. He's looked bad at times too. So you know, but I ain't comparing Drew Lock to John Elway. But people, if the listeners out there, if you guys would look at John Elway's first 4 to 5 years in the league, we'll compare the stats, and you're going to see a huge similarity there. And let's just say how, John Elway panned out. I'm not going to sit there and say Drew Lock's John Elway. I get that, but hey, be patient, Denver. Let's be patient. Let's be patient. Let
Yeah,
the year earn.
yeah, and unfortunately, is watching the Chiefs, do what they did with Patrick Mahomes is kind of getting, Denver fans are getting ants in their pants. They want to compete with Kansas City, and I'm like, it's coming. Just be patient.
They got a
Speak,
lot of what they did offensively and defensively, but absolutely, yeah, be patient.
yeah, speaking of AFC, speaking of the Chiefs, I don't know if you saw this or not, but the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs actually tweeted out his name, saying that folks have been mispronouncing it. It's actually Travis Kelce, not Travis Kelsey, as people have been calling it. It's actually a nickname, but he prefers the nickname over his actual name. And he says that his family, when he took off his NFL career, took off a couple of years ago, like, dude, they're pronouncing your name wrong. He's like, I know, I don't care.
Kelsey sounds better.
It does sound better. I mean, I just thought, Kelce is like, huh? I'm like, it just sounds one of those, it's one of those, I can't remember what that, I think it's called I can't remember that term, where, like people say, like air freshener, they call it Febreze, even though you're using something other than Febreze. I think it's called like the Morgan Freeman effect or something like that. I can't remember what that term is called, but that's what it is. You get used to saying something wrong, it becomes a new normal. And then you're like, wait a minute, I've been saying it wrong all this time. It just sounds, the actual correct way to say it doesn't sound right.
Well, I know one thing. Interesting. I know one thing. It's Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey's cool. It sounds like you're like a British or Scottish player. That Kelsey sounds cool. Kelsey, I just sounds cool because we've been saying it since he's played, and it just sounds a little bit better. But no, I agree with you. Denver obviously, and rightfully so. We're starting to, I can tell why we're in pain. But hey, I, it's good to see the Chiefs succeed. I mean, as much as I hate the Chiefs, but we'll be there. Just we got to be patient. We got to build something. And going through this quarterback change and coaching change, it doesn't matter at what level. You're just not going to be consistent. Like we mentioned earlier in the show with Kansas, you just can't build something if you're continuously changing coaches. And obviously they're not changing quarterback as much as Denver is, but you know, be patient, Mile High. I promise we'll be competitive. Just let's be patient. But it's the culture we live in now. And I trust me, I miss the playoffs too. But we'll be all right. Just be patient.
Yeah, because that instant gratification is what people want. People don't want to wait on anything anymore.
And
And that's one of the things that, unfortunately, if you look over the past to 20, 25 years, America's attention spans got shorter. That's why Rob Manfred, we're not going to go down this road and talk about this right now, but that's one of the reasons he wants to, pick up the pace, because people don't have the patience to sit through a baseball game where they want to, they want to be actively involved. And, it's like, okay, this is boring 30 minutes in. I'm just going to flip over and watch something else. They don't want to sit there and wait for something to happen. It's just instant gratification.
well, they want the instant results, and it's a culture that we live in. We want the results. Well, sometimes like um oh Joel Embiid, you gotta trust the process.
Yep, you
I
do.
like. I mean, I like what I like what George Payton done in his first draft. I love what he did. Of course, John Elway did last year in that draft. And just be patient. And if Drew doesn't work out, Drew doesn't work out. I'll be okay with that. But for now,
Yep, and there's going to be another quarterback out there that we can grab hold of.
yeah, I'm sure Peyton Manning will. I'm sure he won't mind coming out of retirement.
Yeah, and that's funny. I don't know if you saw this during the All Star game or not, but Peyton Manning was giving Shohei Ohtani a few throwing tips on throw the ball in thin air.
Yeah, I did see that video. I'm sure Manning's arm's not there. It was barely hanging on in 2015 when we won this. When Denver won Super Bowl 50, it was barely hanging on.
It was. I don't know what they did, what happened with his neck, because if you watched him in Indianapolis before the surgery and him in Denver after the surgery, his spiral wasn't as tight as it was in Indianapolis, and
No.
that's one of the things that made it a little bit, iffy about him throwing the ball, because it wasn't that tight spiral that needed to be. It was a bit wobbly, and teams were able to take advantage of that.
Final segment, and we'll stick with the NFL. The Washington football team, and I'm still going to say Washington Redskins. I know that's not the right way to say it, and that's not their name, but to me, it just sounds weird. But anyway, the Washington football team has obviously been a busy week for 'em. Of course, the team president sat down, with the Washington Post talking about, potential names and so on and so forth. That they made an announcement that they're going to release their logo and their name in early 2022. So, congrats, Redskin fans. You got one more year that you have no nickname. But for now, you're the Washington football team. This thing's a really interesting turn of events. You got, yeah, I don't even know where to begin. Um, I'm scrolling through what potential, I guess, is their actual list. And right now, the Warriors is the leading candidate. I don't know. Um, and this is off of USA Today. So, I mean, obviously, they must have something. But the Warriors, I guess, either is the leading candidate or they just, okay, would not be. So, they took that out. The Red Wolves, my apologies. The Red Wolves is the one that's leading candidate, is the leading name for the team. I don't know what the Red Tails, the Red Hogs, or the Hogs, the Senators, which I personally think that's what's going to happen, and then Commanders or Generals, or they would just stick with the Washington football team and they just add the Washington Football Club. Well, it's not soccer, so I don't know if that's even going to be remotely an option. Nonetheless, of course, the Cleveland Indians, they're going to change their name sometime soon. in the near future as well. But sticking with Washington, David, this Washington thing is just interesting. They're going to come out, early 2022, and I can't think of the owner's name, but his wife is now in part of it. He's stepping back some.
Yeah, Dan Snyder's his name.
There we go. I know I knew it's Snyder. I just couldn't think of it. Yeah, you got Snyder. He got his wife now involved. He's stepping back to an extent. I'm sure he's feeling the pressure. He's stepping back just a bit. This whole thing is just. I'm just gonna be honest, and this is a touchy subject, and that's perfectly fine. Some days you just gotta be controversial. At least speak your own opinion. At this rate, I still think Kansas City is going to change their name. I think if it's offensive, what? Okay, I get what a Redskin is. If Washington changed their name, I could easily see where we get to the point of the Dallas football team, Denver, Kansas City. Just call them by the city, because now if you're double like New York and LA, I don't know what to tell you on that one. But anyway, your thoughts on the direction that Washington's trying to head into. I don't know what identity they're trying to do. I just feel bad for this organization. They're not a bad organization. They had a pretty good success on the field. Of course, Alex Smith. Okay. Anyway, what's your thoughts on this direction and where this team is trying to head into?
Well, I think Warriors would be great, but then Dan Snyder said that's not an option because we're trying to get away from the Native American thing. And the last thing you want to do is say, well, we're going to quit calling the Redskins, we're switch to the Warriors now. I always thought the Red Tails was going to be cool because of the Tuskegee Airmen from back in World War II, I think it was, and how they overcame racism and segregation to represent their country and do some mighty things. I've seen some logos, that unofficial logos that some different artists have drawn, and they look pretty cool. But I want to make this joke, but I think Senators would be appropriate because then again, collective paycheck year round, you only work half the year anyway, right? So you only work part time, but you collect the full time paychecks. I think Senators will be appropriate. That's just me.
To add to that, if you want to add a Senators, you definitely would be wasting your money because let's be honest, we're paying them to do something, and they're not doing half their stuff that they tell us that they're gonna do when they get in the office. So I'm right there with you, David.
But I think it's something to me, it's a joke. I mean, it's because for decades, they went on with the Redskins, and even some Native American groups came out and said, yes, we know the term's offensive, but it doesn't bother us. It's tradition. And then only just a couple of years ago did it become a problem. And then they said, fine, we're going to just change it. And it's like, well, we don't have any nicknames yet, so we're going to be known as the football team. And then, and then so well, we still don't have a nickname, so we're going to go on the football team for another year, and then we're going to come up with a new nickname. It's like, okay, you should have known, you should have been prepared, but that's just me. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the T and the F and the V was switched around to describe the Washington football team before they, because it's literally, WTF.
Well, I don't know where exactly we've had, like you mentioned it, this team's been around for quite a while. And I don't know why all of a sudden now I get the tension, the tension that's going on in this country. I get it. I get it. I may not fully understand it from my perspective, but I get it. Nonetheless, the Cleveland Indians, they're going to be changing their name. I know here locally, high schools changed theirs. U.S. Grant, I know was one, and there's a few others. But anyway, if the Indians and the Redskins is offensive or a racist term, let's put it that way, then why can't we change the cheese? Because the cheese in a way is an Indian type of thing. In my opinion, the Longhorns is offensive, but whatever. Cowboys, the list goes on. Braves for the Atlanta Braves. I just hope that we don't start changing sports history. And I get sports is nothing compared to actual physical history that a lot of these people been through. But nonetheless, I just hope we don't start changing just everything because sometimes history, yes, history can repeat itself, but at the same time, you don't want to change it because unfortunately, the new history doesn't end very well.
No, it doesn't. And it's like something, it wasn't offensive until somebody told you it was, and it's one of those things where I think the Braves, Atlanta Braves baseball team, stopped doing the tomahawk. Asked their fans to start doing the tomahawk chop. As far as I'm concerned, they haven't. And the same way with the Kansas City Chiefs, they still haven't done it because it's tradition, and there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion.
I got nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's a part of the game. It's part of that home field advantage and that excitement. And like I said, I get people want to change things, and I'm all for giving people what they want. But at the same time, you just got to leave it alone. Research it first of all. Research what you're trying to change and make sure it makes sense, and go from there. But nonetheless, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Kind of curious what they're going to come up with. I'm sure it's probably something stupid, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it should be interesting. As long as Dallas does not win the Super Bowl, I am perfectly happy. I don't care what happens.
Yep.
But, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. Um, Wrapping up, how can you guys listen to us? iTunes, Google, Amazon Music, even better yet, if you have an Alexa, which I do. However, it's put away because my kids likes to talk to Alexa, and my phone and my TV will physically be a moving station. So it is unplugged. However, you can listen to Amazon, or you can listen to on Amazon Music by saying, "Hey Alexa, play the Air Raid Attack podcast," and she'll do it to you. Just give her some time. Nonetheless, it's been fun. Everyone follow the show on Twitter, airraid_podcast. I'll get all the information on the link in description when I release the podcast edited later on tonight. David, what do you got planned for this weekend, buddy?
Well, I'm actually taking a trip up to Bartlesville this weekend. We're going to go up and me and friend are going to go up and check out the Price Tower, which is Frank Lloyd Wright's only skyscraper. We're not going to go to a tour. You have to book it in advance. It's just a little bit of a headache right now, but we're going to go out there and take a look at the outside of it, and then poke around the Phillips 66 Museum there up there in Mooresville, and then maybe take a quick trip to Paul Hospital to check out the Pioneer Woman's place up there. Just check out some old small towns along the way. I take a little bit of a road trip.
Very nice. I'm trying to take my wife up there. I've heard good things. I've heard it's pretty busy up at the Pioneer Shop. I've never been, but let me know how that goes. I'll be kind of curious. You'll be the first person physically that I know of, anyway, that's been up there, and I'm kind of curious how that goes for you guys.
Yep, it's definitely.
I got nothing besides mowing my dad's yard. Other than that, I got absolutely nothing.
Yep.
That's all I
Okay. Yep, most definitely.
But anyway, guys, it's been fun. David, have a wonderful, safe weekend, buddy. And before I forget that, we got two exciting guests, or three exciting guests coming on, but two of them reached out. They're big time fans of the podcast. We'll get all the details out next week in regards to the show. But who are they? Well, one of them is the offensive lineman for Tennessee State University. He's also a Barstool athlete. Again, goes back to the NIL stuff, so we'll definitely mention that. But Daryl Branch, the offensive guard for Tennessee State University, he'll be coming on the show on, I got this for you guys. July 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Definitely talk about the Eddie George hiring as head coach. That'll definitely be brought up. And also, D'Artagnan, I'm sure I'm butchering his name. I'm apologizing in advance. Tinsley, I'm just gonna call him D. He'll be on the show on the whopping July 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern. So, David, if you are available, if you would like to join in, hey man, feel free to join in as well.
I'd love to.
Hey guys, there you go. David and I will be interviewing those two great guys. Then, of course, Moose, the quarterback of Pittsburgh State. Yeah, it's kind of weird. F-I-T-Z Berg State. I believe a D2 product will be coming on the 25th, I believe. But anyway, I'll tweet all those out tonight or night. Tweet them out. Stay tuned. A lot of going on behind the scenes. But anyway, nonetheless, David, have a wonderful weekend. You guys have a wonderful weekend. And we will see you guys back here, same time, same place. Have a great rest of your week, and let's finish this week strong.
All right, Mike. Take care.